Now that we've defined a scatter plot as showing the relationship between two quantitative variables, let's actually define those variables in terms of how they fit into the graph and kind of how we think that relationship works. So we're going to call these two the explanatory and the response variable. You might have heard them called the independent and dependent variable before. That would be kind of equivalent terms. So the variable that goes on the x-axis, or the horizontal axis, is the explanatory variable. This is the one that we think can be used to explain, or it's influencing, or in some way predicting how the other variable is going to behave. And so then that other variable is called the response variable, and that one gets plotted on the vertical, or what we often call the y-axis. And that's the variable that we're actually really interested in. It's typically a result of a study or experiment. So we have this graph of Old Faithful, the geyser going off. And so here they've plotted the eruption duration, so how long the geyser's been going off, as the explanatory variable. And then the response variable is the time that you waited until the next geyser eruption. And so the idea being that maybe the longer that the geyser goes off, then the longer it takes to recharge before it can go off again. So we have some examples on your notes. There are 9 different questions or kind of examples, and you want to go through and decide which is the explanatory and which is the response variable. So go ahead and pause the video and give this a try, and then we'll come back and go through it. All right, so hopefully you gave that a try. Let's go through these. The first one is, do baseball games that score more runs sell more tickets? So in this one, I would think that the number of runs is going to be the predictor. So if the team's doing really well, more people are going to come out to the game. So that would make my response variable the number of tickets that are sold. Do students who score higher on their SAT test have a higher GPA? So this one is actually pretty easy to tell the explanatory and response variable if you think about it from a time perspective. You have to go to high school before you go to college, generally speaking. So that would mean that the explanatory variable is going to be that SAT score that happens in high school, and then the response will be the college GPA. Can we estimate a person's percent body fat better by measuring their waist or wrist size? Okay, so this one, it's telling us that we would like to be able to estimate or predict the body fat. So that percent body fat is going to be our response variable. That's what we want to be able to predict. And we actually have 2 explanatory variables here, either the waist size or the wrist size. Our house size in square foot and selling price related. And so here I would think that the bigger the house, in general, the more expensive it's going to be. So we make house size our explanatory, and selling price is going to be our response variable. Right. Is drug dosage and degree of pain relief related? And hopefully that's the case, so that people get some pain relief. So I would think that explanatory here is going to be the drug dosage, probably in milligrams or something of that sort. And then the response variable will be pain relief, and they'll be measuring that in a percentage. To get that quantitative variable. Is calories consumed and amount of weight loss related? So calories consumed will be our explanatory, and then our response is the weight loss. Hours of sleep and score on a test. So hours of sleep will be our explanatory, because you got to sleep before the test. So that would make my response the test score. Is time for the mile run and age related? So is age going to be predicting how fast someone runs the mile, or how fast someone runs the mile predicts their age? So when I kind of think about the 2 possible ways that could go, what makes more sense is to put age as the explanatory, and the response time would be the mile run. Age of car and cost of repairs. So here I would say again that the explanatory is going to be the age, and the response will be the repair cost.